As the United States is now performing airstrikes on Syria because of Iranian origin drones, we now have to discuss the possible future of a world war. Now, I made a video earlier on today talking about this airstrike, talking about how over the past week there have been 14 attacks on U.S. troops. Now, one of the questions that I got, and I received many questions and comments, but this is the one that I got, and it has to do with Social Security. This one says, Adam, I've been hearing a lot on the news about the United States getting involved in this world war, and now I'm very worried. I know a lot will happen if the U.S. gets involved, but can you tell me what could happen with Social Security? I'm 66 today, turned 67 in January, and I'm planning on claiming benefits at that time. Do you think this is a wise decision? Well, I want to give you that answer, because not just for people that are about to become 67 and will reach the full retirement age, but just in general, what is going to happen with Social Security? So before I get into that, all I ask is if you can do me one favor. If you enjoy these daily updates, go ahead and hit that like button. Also, click that subscribe button so you never miss an update. But here's what would happen if the United States gets more involved in these wars. Right now, we got Russia and Ukraine, we got Israel and Gaza. Now the United States is jumping in and potentially creating a war with Iran. But what could happen? Well, here's where we just need to go down to the basics. First off, Congress will have to spend more money. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They will just need to spend more money. Here's where things get tricky. Republicans have been saying for the past, really over the past year, that Democrats have to choose which direction we go. Do we continue to fund these different programs that they have? And if we go down that route, that's fine, but we have to cut other benefit programs that have been in place for decades. This is where Democrats say, no, we cannot cut anything. We have to continue to spend, but how do we continue to spend? The only way is if we increase revenue, which means an increase in taxes. However, President Biden has made it very clear, nobody making less than $400,000 per year will pay a penny more in taxes under his administration. So where do we go? Well, it's taxing the millionaires and the billionaires. That's the next option. Here's what we know. The most likely outcome is we increase the full retirement age of Social Security. This would mean that in the next probably 20 to 30 years, the full retirement age would be 68, 69, or age 70. That does absolutely nothing for us today. That doesn't save us any money. That's a future cut. Now, according to her name's Linda Kerr-David. She's actually Social Security's acting assistant deputy commissioner. She said just the other day on Thursday, she said that there's a lot of issues going on with the Social Security Administration. One of those is their lack of funding. Here's where things get tricky. If we do end up in a world war, what's going to happen is the Social Security Administration is going to lose a lot of their funding, as will many other programs. Your benefits will not see a cut unless Congress votes on that, which I see is highly unlikely, because during a war, we are going to see unemployment increase, right? Inflation is going to go up, a lot of issues. But according to what Linda Kerr-David said, she said that right now benefits, initial decisions on benefits, they're taking on average 220 days. The Social Security Administration, they define their minimum level of performance as 60 days. So this is huge. This is 160 days more than what they are considering their minimum level of performance. So just think about this for a second. if we do end up in a war, if Congress has to choose between funding a war versus providing additional funding for the Social Security Administration, this is going to hurt them even more. That's just one issue. Currently, President Biden and the Biden administration have asked Congress for about $160 billion in additional funding. This is for things like Ukraine and Israel, Gaza, high-speed internet access here in the United States, humanitarian efforts for Ukraine, Israel, Gaza. There's also disaster relief funding in there as well, and so much more. But many lawmakers have been asking, why? Why do we need additional $160 billion going to all these different things? And many lawmakers currently oppose a bill that includes money for Israel with money for Ukraine together. They will vote for those separately, but not together. And they said the Biden administration needs to actually do something about that because they will not vote in favor of those two pieces of legislation together. They have to be separate. Now, this is just the beginning stages of all these discussions. We've also now voted, Republicans have now voted for their new Speaker of the House. This is something that we knew was coming. But in Speaker Mike Johnson, here's what's happening. Just to give you an idea. What is going on right now is he is one that has been advocating for some time to cut spending. And now, does this mean cut spending to Social Security benefits? Does it mean cut spending to the Social Security Administration? Does it mean to cut spending to all the other programs, right? SNAP benefits? Don't know. Because these were years ago. But he's now the Speaker of the House. Republicans have gave him the power. So what are they going to fight for? What is he going to fight for? Well, here's what we know. Congress must fight for additional increases. But is this an increase in savings? Is this an increase in funding? There are still proposals out there. One is by Senator Bernie Sanders, and I believe Senator Whitehouse as well, where they are pushing for $2,400 per year increases to Social Security recipients. Just to give you an idea what this would do. This would be $200 per month. It'd be a huge increase across the board, help out millions and millions of people. This would also likely increase, push inflation up a little bit of upward pressure there. The issue is, where's that money come from? Well, and how much is it going to cost? Well, it's going to cost, billions of dollars. Well, probably I think it's around $120 billion, I believe is what the last estimate was. But if it costs $120 billion, how do we get there? Well, here's what they're discussing. Some say we need to increase the Social Security tax cap. Currently, it's at $160,200. But next year in 2024, it's actually going to be $168,000. Give some change. So it's going to go up about $8,000, which means it's going to bring in, again, because people are taxed 12.4%, it's going to bring in a little over $1,100 if somebody makes over $168,000. But what Democrats want is they want to tax people that make over $400,000 per year. Okay? That's where things get tricky. Is now there's a gap between $168,000 and $400,000. But remember what I said, President Biden stated that nobody making less than $400,000 per year will pay a penny more in taxes. That's where things get tricky. Here's the other one. Congress, or specifically Democrats, they say that we need to tax investment income. Currently, investment income accounts for 0% of Social Security taxes. That's because you do not get taxed on investment income. Democrats say they want to make it the same, whether it's earned income or investment income, you pay 12.4%. Now, here's where the increases really show up. If we increase the tax cap over $400,000 per year, that means we will bring in roughly about $134 billion. $134 billion. Remember when I said that it would be a little bit over $100 billion to implement the $2,400 Social Security increase? There you go. Here's the other one. The tax investment income. If we are taxing investment income, it would account for about $58 billion as an increase. Again, pretty good. Historically, though, during times of war, we know inflation goes up, unemployment increases, consumption, though, takes a hit, right? When consumption takes a hit, and I just want to be very clear on this, because we're starting to see Iran threatening the United States and potentially threatening the American people here on our soil. Not over in Iran, not in Syria, okay, not in other countries, not in the Middle East, here on U.S. soil. If we now are worried that there could potentially be issues here on our own soil, well, we are going to spend less money. We are going to be prepared, right, for those SHTF moments, when you know what hits the fan. So consumption is going to take a hit. That's going to impact GDP. And as we do not consume certain goods, we don't go to grocery stores and buy clothing and buy new cars and renovate our homes, what's going to happen? Those businesses are going to be impacted. Unemployment's going to increase. This is why inflation is going to go up, because we're not getting as much stuff. But the big one is oil. If we go into a war with Iran, this is where we get a decent amount of oil. So oil prices are going to increase because Iran isn't going to want to sell to us, right? They're not going to want to sell to the U.S. So we have to go get oil elsewhere. Anytime we go into a war, whether it's in other countries or whatever, oil prices go up, which means gas prices go up, energy costs increase, and everything that uses transportation or energy, it gets more expensive. So if you are wondering, how is Social Security potentially going to be impacted by a world war? It will be impacted. It will be greatly impacted. Again, that's just what's going to happen. Now, hopefully we don't end up in a world war, but just so you know, if we do, things are going to change. And it will likely be a negative impact on millions and millions of people. Not just here in the US, but all across the world. So, if you guys have any questions regarding Social Security or this potential war that we may be in, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.